Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 7. We'll present our topic, which is mechanical plant and machinery. Our group consists of me, NIZAR bin SUPRI, metric number ACF 180055, NASUHA, SYAMIMI and NORSYALMIEZA. First of all, our organization chart, which is me as project manager, SYAMIMIZA as environment manager, SYAMIMI as safety manager, and NASUHA as safety and health management manager. So for the introduction, industrial management are important things that need to be highlighted, because if any industry want to achieve success, it has to be reliable, safe and high sustainability in its operation. Any industry in the world need to identify and examine all type of hazard and possible risks that could happen around their work area. Based on past experience, there are a lot of tragedy that occur by undetected hazard or even caused by the industry itself that don't have a risk assessment at their workplace. Hazard identification, risk assessment and risk control, which known as hierarchy, are carried out to find and examine the undesirable or unwanted event that could lead to a hazard, and the analysis of possible hazard situation that could occur upon the estimation of its extent, magnitude and likelihood of undesirable harmful effect. This study will address the preliminary of the risk assessment before the commencement of a development of 50 units 2-story lecture room building by UTHM. In this presentation also we include the recommendation of the appropriate risk control in order to ensure the safety and health of the worker and campus resident with prevention of accident while construction work in mechanical plant and machinery begins. What is hierarchy purpose? Here are hazard identification, risk assessment and risk control. Objective of hierarchy are to manage a risk hazard that must first to be identified before the construction begin, and then the risk should be evaluated and determined to be whether it's safe or not. Step for hierarchy: first we need to identify the hazard, second we need to have a risk assessment, third, we have to analyze the risk, and lastly, we need to monitor and review the type of risk.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is NASUHA. I'm going to present about mechanical plant and machinery procedure. First, before that, we need to check the system is complete and equipment with all the precaution and free of error. Then we need to ensure every static machine have been installed properly and is stable. Then we choose the right machine for the job and do not put any machine where the customer or visitor can be exposed to the risk. Then we need to make sure the machine is secure for any work to be performed, turn off, disconnect or lock off properly, and we need to define or deal with the hazard. Next is preventing access to unsafe component. And the employer should be concerned about how a computer can be kept held, and then we need to fit the guard to enclose the unsafe piece, and then we supply the worker operator with the requisite knowledge, guidance, preparation, monitoring and adequate safety equipment. Then I will explain about hazard, likelihood, severity and risk. First, I am going to define hazard. Hazard is situation with potential of harm to human property and damage of environment. Safety hazard. Safety hazard such as threat impact worker who deal closely with the equipment or any at the building site. Then healthy hazard. Healthy hazard are chemical, physical and or biological factors to our environment that can give a negative impact in our short or long term of our health. Then is likely categories. Likely categories have the expert hazard or condition that will cause injuries. There are 5 rating we can give. First, for the rating of 5, very possible. Rating 4 is possible. Rating 3 is impossible. Rating 2 is very impossible, and rating 1 is never. Severity category is inspection can be divided into 5 categories. First, For 5 rating is deadly or accidental death. 4 is bad injury. 3 is serious injury. 2 is mild injury, and 1 is negligible injuries. Okay, risk. The risk is correlation between the presence of hazard possibility. Probability that we get from the previous slide and severity from the previous also. And then we can calculate the risk, and we know the level of the risk based on the color. This table shows the value with the label of risk and the action we can take to be priorities. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, now we move on to the HIRAC. HIRAC is a compound word up of 3 consecutive activities, which is hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control. The function of HIRAC implementation is to identify all factors that may risk a worker towards an accident, consider possibility of hazard may occur any circumstances and conditions, and enable worker to plan and monitor preventive measures against the risk of occupational injury. This is the list of hazards should be compiled and result in this HIRAC form. HIRAC form consists of hazard identification, risk analysis, and risk control. There are several things to be focused, which is at risk analysis. To analyze the risk, we need to identify the likelihood, the severity. Likelihood is measured, referred to this table. As we can see, the highest rating is 5, which is the most frequent hazard. Severity based upon an increasing level of severity to an individual health, the environment, and property. The highest rating shows numerous people died and also property damage cannot be covered. And the risk is calculated by likelihood multiplied by severity to get the relative risk. Now we move on to the HIRAC form. This is the example of HIRAC form. The work or the activity is required to place their hand close to the mechanism of machinery and equipment. The hazard is it will be caught or trapped by moving parts which can affect part of the body, will cause in serious injury, and for the likelihood is 4, which is it has a good chance to occur but not frequent. The severity is 3, which may lead to fatal injury and permanent disability, and the risk is 12, which is the medium. The recommendation or control measures is the engine component must be enclosed under covers.
Assalamualaikum, my name is NORSYALMIEZA BINTI. I will present on discussion of HIRAC table. From the HIRAC table, there are the most critical hazards and divided into 2 categories, which are health hazard and safety hazard. For the health hazard, we identified the most critical health hazard is fumes being emitted from the machinery and equipment being operated, and it is high risk that require the immediate action to control the hazards as detailed in the hierarchy of control. We also identified the most critical safety hazard is the building was ready to use but the final check does not conducted due to date of submission. The building without checking will collapse and may cause the fatality. So from this discussion, we can conclude that the most critical hazards stated above are rational and requires the immediate action and recommendation to control the hazard and need to avoid from it happen again in future. For health hazard, it can be minimized by hazard isolation, and for safety hazard, it can be avoided by follow the control measure of administrative control.
So for the conclusion, hazard are one of the main factors that result due to the most of accident case occur, especially in construction site nowadays. Accident at site mostly happen by hazard that are unnoticeable without precaution. In order to counter this problem, the answer are rely to our step and awareness on our surrounding area. This report show the systematic step and method that could be used as our safety regulation, especially in our workplace, because it is our duty to make sure our work area are safe from hazard. It can cause multiple injury or even worse situation that could happen if there are no safety regulation applied. Methods such as toolbox meeting, communication between workers, site meeting, hazard identification, and risk assessment are the best method that we could follow. This method could prevent accident that caused by hazard, as it is the best way to communicate risk at our workplace.
That's all from us, Group 7. Thank you.